We're getting closer and closer to the hottest night of the summer. It is SummerSlam, of course, at Barclays Center in New York City in the middle of August. And as we get closer, we know another match that has just been made. It is Kevin Owens up against AJ Styles, but this time Kevin Owens wants a competent referee, and he's going to get Shane McMahon as that special guest referee. Josh Eisenberg joining me from down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Josh, what do you like about this, or not like about this decision to have Shane McMahon as the special referee?
Well, I think it's interesting that they make him the special guest referee, Justin. There was talk of having a Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon match at SummerSlam. I was against that idea. I thought it would be rushed too quickly, and that match really wouldn't do Kevin Owens much favors now. There's an elite class that the McMahons fight with. You know, obviously, whenever people were talking about AJ Styles and Shane McMahon, look at what they did at WrestleMania, but they had more of a build than a couple of weeks. So if it was Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens, I feel like it would have been rushed, pushed together, and you know what you're going to get with AJ Styles and Kevin Owens competing one-on-one. Adding Shane McMahon here only continues a future match between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. There's going to be such a stacked card at SummerSlam. You can really use with the way the WWE Network is used now for a SmackDown-only pay-per-view to possibly be headlined or be one of the two main events with the Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. Hell, it could even come to Survivor Series whenever, Shane McMahon has had some memorable moments at pay-per-views not called WrestleMania, and I think that you can really use his offensive ability outside of SummerSlam. You have so many athletes, you have so many good matches already booked for it. Start this feud, and maybe Kevin Owens gets screwed out once again. I think, it's not going to be something clean. It's going to be, they're behind me, they're against me, I can't turn my back without a McMahon stabbing me there, whether it's Shane, Vince, Stephanie. But I do think this is the beginning of a longer Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon feud.
Yeah, I got to agree with you across the board with that. I think you're right. SummerSlam is going to have enough weight to it that whenever a McMahon steps in the ring, that's always it's always a headline-worthy match and marquee. So that could really be a valuable anchor to the fall for one of the SmackDown-only pay-per-views. And you're right, you need a longer build here. Shane McMahon, you need a longer build with any of the McMahons. There's a longer build to make it, again, worthy and logical of why they're finally having to step in the ring when they are quote-unquote not regular wrestlers. I still find it interesting too, Josh. I don't know how much of this you've seen, but the talk on social media is still, you'd think people would learn their lesson, but maybe we are just it's just the age that we are in. People that are still that I'm seeing that are still talking negatively about what we all assume, which is going to be an eventual Shane versus Kevin Owens match, about Owens needs to be going for the world title. It shouldn't be Shane needs to step up. It's like you'd think after we had to talk about this with AJ Styles at Mania, you'd think people by now would figure it out. That working against the McMahon is a compliment. That means that that means they care about you and the booking. I'm still baffled that the smartest, I'm using the air quotes here, the smartest of the viewers have not figured that out.
And it's amazing, isn't it? It's so amazing that people are bitching and complaining that Kevin Owens isn't necessarily competing for the WWE World Championship. Well, aside from this week, when it was headlined by John Cena and Shinsuke Nakamura, Justin, do you remember the last time the World Championship feud actually ended SmackDown? Because I don't. It's been a long time since you've seen Jinder Mahal or the World Championship and SmackDown become the main event, the headline, and that even takes us back to what happened this past week on Raw with Big Show and Big Cass. So being in a World Championship or Universal Championship feud doesn't necessarily mean you're the number one storyline in the eyes of WWE.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think there's a ton of potential here. Kevin Owens is that character who he plays a very good heel when he wants to. When he wants to be that dastardly heel, he can really pull it off. And one of the things I've always found interesting about the Kevin Owens WWE character is how he's he's always he can be this heel, but he's very open about talking about how great of a family man he is. And I always thought it brought an interesting dynamic of he's willing to do anything, stab his best friends in the back because he wants to make sure he provides and succeeds for his family. I've always thought that's interesting, and I think because of that, they could open up a lot of avenues creatively where SmackDown's really been thriving creatively for Kevin Owens calling out Shane's family, calling out his wife Marissa, maybe even making a mention of his kids. I mean, there's a lot, there's a lot of potential of those moments that gets everybody going, oh, did he just say that? Was he supposed to say that? That WWE could incorporate here because Kevin Owens is that kind of guy or character where you believe that he would push the envelope, kind of similar to CM Punk. I'll never forget the famous CM Punk moment when he and Triple H were face to face, and he said, "This isn't CM Punk talking to Triple H. This is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque." Everybody lost their mind for a moment because it was like nobody's ever done, nobody says that. So I think Kevin Owens could have those kind of moments if this feud with Shane McMahon really gets red hot enough to where it feels like it needs it. So I'm excited to see how this gets dragged out.
And I am too, Justin. And you said there's so many levels and so many dynamics and details that can be added to the story. If you really want to get personal, and if you potentially want to have Kevin Owens as this super huge heel, I mean, you have a Triple H is one of the best heels, I think, in the business over the past decade. He's so much better at that, but he still gets a great positive reaction every time. You could really use an Owens-McMahon kind of feud where Owens goes not after just Shane McMahon, but goes after, like you said, people might be talking about his wife and kids. Kevin could do the same thing with Shane and his kids, and potentially his sister and his brother-in-law, and really stir something between the entire McMahon family, something reminiscent to what the Attitude Era storylines gave us.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see a Shane McMahon soundbite of him saying, "I wish my brother-in-law would have never signed you from the Indies," or something to that effect. So a lot of potential. We'd love to hear what you think. Make sure you hit us up on Twitter. You go at CS Reality, at Justin LeBar, at Josh Eisenberg 4. Of course, leave a comment below the video, whether you're watching on WrestleZone.com, YouTube, wherever it may be. We hope you're enjoying it. Please share. We'll be back next week as we get closer and closer to SummerSlam. The storylines are heating up, so be sure to join us for all of the WWE debate.